Our next guest witnessed history right here in Jacksonville and wrote an award-winning book about it. It was never about a hot dog and Coke, is Rodney Hurst Sr.'s personal account of a 1960 sit-in demonstration in town. On August 27, 1960, he was one of the members of the Jacksonville Youth Council NAACP who were attacked while sitting in at a white lunch counter in downtown Jacksonville. They had been peacefully protesting segregation at the time. Mr. Hurst is now joining us today to talk a little bit about that, his experiences, his books, his new projects, and also something special coming to downtown Jacksonville. Mr. Hurst, it's such a pleasure to see you.
Good morning, Casey.
Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
And thank you for writing about this account, because I know your second book talks about, you know, unless we tell it, it never gets covered, to keeping these stories alive and letting people know about your perspective. So let's talk a little bit about the first book that you wrote, which was It Was Never About a Hot Dog and Coke. Talk about the experience of that, and then what led you to write the book.
The book deals with an infamous event in Jacksonville called Axe Handle Saturday, which was not covered by the news. It was covered by news media outside of Jacksonville, but not locally. I was angry. That was my motivation in writing the first book, because there is so much revisionist history about what happened during the sit-ins. So I wrote the first book to set the record straight, and the working title was going to be Axe Handle Saturday. But when I got ready to turn in my paperwork to the Library of Congress for copyright, I changed the name to It Was Never About a Hot Dog and a Coke, because the book entails what the civic, social, and political climate was at that time. And also to say that we did not sit in at white lunch counters, which were visible vestiges of segregation, just to eat a hot dog and to drink a beverage. It was about human dignity and respect, yes.
And talk about, for those who did not live during that time, what that was like for you, what the feelings that you had, the courage it took to do that.
Well, the leaders of the sit-in demonstrations, I was president of the Youth Council in ACP, were high school students here in Jacksonville. The sit-ins that spread throughout the country in 1960 were led by mostly college students, but here in Jacksonville by high school students. Shopping for a black person in downtown stores was an insulting experience. You could shop throughout the store. They wanted your money throughout the store, but they did not want you to spend money where they had a lunch counter that was identified as white, and it had an invisible sign that said whites only. This was the white community's comfort level, and when we first sat in at those lunch counters, because of the disrespect and because we were dramatizing our fight against racism, it sounds passive now, but it was very confrontational to the system at that time. First, when we first sat in at Woolworth, they closed the lunch counter, and those whites who were accustomed to eating fresh lunches at Woolworth every day, and this was on a Saturday, it irritated them, and we got the usual racial epithets from those persons who could not get to their seats. We had a white student join us from Florida State, and that really triggered a lot of comments, because whites then figured that because he was white and he was a part of the demonstration, that he was the one who was agitating our young colored citizens, as if we could not understand what issues were. All of this got started for me with my 8th grade American history teacher named Rodney Hurst, who would not teach American history from the segregated books for Negro education, and in my history book only included George Washington Carver and Booker T. Washington. And Mr. Pearson was also the advisor to the Youth Council NAACP, and he would always tell us, freedom is not free. If you're not a part of the solution, you are part of the problem.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk about, it's very important for you to write these stories, to disseminate these stories, to let people know that they're out there. So you've published one book, now you have the second book coming out, and there's a book event coming up this weekend. It's important that we get that in, because you'll be there and you have your books available, but it's really a combination of a bunch of people coming together.
Yes, more than 100 authors at the Jack's Book Fest which is this Saturday at the main library from 10 to 3. A lot of great authors. Brenda Jackson is also a very prolific romance novelist from Jacksonville. And we will talk about writing a book. You know, I'm going to talk about writing nonfiction and some of the things that you have to do, some of the pointers that you have to follow to do that. And there will be events for children. There will be there are zoo programs. There is face painting. The first 1,000 persons there will get free tote bags. So they have really done an extraordinary job in organizing to kick this project off.
All right, Mr. Hurst, we could sit here and talk to you all day, sir. Thank you for coming on. We
It's my
appreciate
pleasure.
the time. Thank you for sharing your little slice of history with us.
Thank
we
you.
greatly appreciate it, and we will be right back.